Hello, I'm Paul from Vianden Galactic Spaceyards. I'm here with Ken, and Ken asked me if I could do something for a video for Halloween. So I'm going to do something based on a trick that I developed myself. What we're going to do is we're going to make a stand for a pumpkin. That's the thing we're doing today, but I already did sort of a space stalactite, we did fiery planets, we did these beauty display tables. So in essence we're going to make a little table thing, let's say this high, something like that, and put your pumpkin on. And to show you different effects, I'm going to do it more like in horror on one side and in beauty on the other. I bought, in this case, two things. One is kitchen foil, clean wrap, whatever you call transparent plastics, stuff you wrap cheese in. And I did the absolute luxury of buying a €17 light strip. But nowadays you get so much funny lights for very cheap with LEDs that I did it already with a €3 garden solar light. This is really nice because it's got a remote control, you can control colors and everything. So this is the absolute luxury for €17. And Ken, being organized, personally asked me to show what I'm going to use, which is very difficult for me because when I start things I'm not really sure. But we also got some aluminium foil, nothing special, a screw gun, we got a hand tacker, I put some burners. If you don't have a burner, it's not so important. You can also do very nice effects with a little normal lighter, you know, the ones that with a blue flame. You got some of these miniature hot air guns. It'll do. I got a glue gun. I got a jigsaw. That's, I would say, almost necessary. You could probably do it with something else too. Got some screws, some drill bits, markers and things like that. I got some scrap plywood. As usual, any wood will do. If you want to put it outside, should be something that doesn't rot too fast. And in this case, I like to make it more in the shape, in the idea of a tree, not really the shape of a tree. So I'm going to say this is about the center, and I'm going to put 4 roots. On there, actually, why not? Give it something like that. Give it a bit. Let's say this is the roots of a tree. Take a jigsaw, cut it out without caring much. What I very often do is I use the jigsaw with a long blade and just go bit diagonal. So this is our base. Now we need like 3 or 4 things that come up to hold our tabletop. I just happen to have an old piece of skirting board because I'm doing some work on the house. Actually, this is from 1933. I found a label on it. I'm gonna cut this on a chop saw because I have it. You could cut it with this at right angle. You could hand saw it, whatever. Just cut it at the right angle at the approximate height you want your table at. I'd say about like this. This also shows you can use white material, thin material. I'll show you the difference afterwards. Use what you have before you go to the store. This is going to be on here supporting the top. Of course, this does not look tree-ish. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a little bit already of a shape. My counsel is don't try to be too precise on that. The more simpler you do it, the better it's going to be afterwards. Just breaking the edges again, it's nicer. It does not absolutely need to be. I got into the habit building medieval props. They used to cut the edges very often with sort of an axe to imitate that. Yes, again, I'm using the jigsaw as what I call a sculpturing tool. It's not the proper way to use a jigsaw, of course. And I'm used to doing that since years and years, so I sort of know what will happen and also what goes wrong sometimes, and that too. So when you try out things like that, be careful about it. If you put your nose close to it, wear glasses. If you don't know where your jigsaw will project. Really serious. I don't use glasses for this because I know where the stuff's gonna fly. The other thing is, if you do sculpturing with jigsaw, only do it if you got a quite powerful ones. The other might stick and suddenly jump about. Use also a long blade. Let's see what we put down there. Something like this. All this stuff, do it fast. If you stop to think too long about it, chances are you over-design it. And it should be something that grew naturally or has been made by ghosts. And so let natural flaws go in there happily. Put a little hole in there for the screws so I know dull bits. Average screws. If you want to keep it longer, a bit of wood glue is advisable too. If you just want to make a quick Halloween prop, it's not necessary. Of course, if you want to really do it as a furniture item, which you can, and I have, then of course you take a bit more care than that. You round everything off nicely. Now we screw these on with our sculpture piece. And yes, this is not carpentry. This is decor building. But you can do this sort of carpentry. It's not necessary to have all the super nice finishes. Now this thing is quite a bit thinner. If it's too shaky, we can always add a piece of wood. The nice thing about making rough things, like imprecise shapes like stone, wood, you can always add or remove something. There's our basic shape. You could go for an art exhibit. We want to shape this thing a little bit up like it was roots. We can add things like this on there. I will cut a few. Again, if I was going for a piece of furniture and stuff and make a longer video, I could sand these nicely. If you don't have a screw gun, hot glue will do for decor. So the formal approach is every decor is three things. It's something that we see. We will have something interesting, strange to see for Halloween. It's a function. You want to put a pumpkin on or maybe something else. or maybe you just want for Halloween, or maybe you want to keep it for a very long time. That will determine how solid you build it, how nicely you build it, is be seen from front. And the last thing is, the decor is a budget. Even if it's not in terms of money, it's in terms of the time you want to spend doing it. You don't want to spend 3 months building a Halloween decoration, so in this case, this is low budget. Oops. This up here should be nicely flat because we'll put surface on it. Again, if you do this furniture, you might want to do it a bit more solid with more care. So, a little more funny stuff on here. This is actually a very nice project. Get rid of your box of leftover screws. Should have done that, but... so we built our basic table stand. We will make some plate for it. In this case, we want to make a table, so put a pumpkin on and maybe keep it later to put some other stuff on. So I made it relatively solid. It will be more solid than this one tabletop. So I needed a jigsaw to do this. But if you just do decoration thing, it does not need to be cut wood. It could be wire. It's not good if it's flammable materials, because later on we will burn some holes in the plastic. But anything that you have that does not burn will do the trick. The first thing I ever did was a ball. I found a transparent ball shape, and I did a fiery planet, sort of meteorite type thing. So that didn't take any structure building at all. This is probably like the most labor-intensive base that you could make. Okay, so let's get some branches. Just like with stuff here. Yep. This, by the way, is a dead bush, so trim it at the same time, 2 in 1. What's growing on is just some sort of vine. I think this would be useful. And it's not necessary to have branches, but it's nice to have a wild material which has interesting shapes by itself as you find it. Okay, let's dump that in the shop and have a cup of coffee. Coffee is very important. The coffee machine is the most important machine on a film after the camera. You remove that, everything will go slow. So we got our wooden structure. We will make a hole in the bottom to have the electric plug come out. You can do it with a nice hole saw. And you can do it with a... You probably could do it with a shotgun. I tend to cover these things in aluminum foil so they reflect a bit more. It's not really absolutely necessary. You get a little bit more light and more effects from it. And it's easy to do, so all we want to do is make a bit of interior reflection. And it's not like we need to cover all the surfaces. Just a little... We get a little bit more for our money. I will also give it a very little bit of spray paint on the edges that we don't see the wood so well. So, on the last video, somebody commented I actually should be wearing a mask when I use spray paints. You're right. I got a lot of very bad habits. So, I picked up a lot of bad habits because most of my spraying over just a little bit here, a little bit there. So I don't do it, so this time I shall actually do it. And yes, you were right, I should be wearing a mask.
This is just camouflage. This is, in case there's a hole and we see some wood, we should not absolutely recognize it as wood. So I urge you to be completely careless about spraying, otherwise it looks like design, it should look wild.
Okay, in this case, not necessary but interesting, I'm just going to add some branches to the structure. It's nothing that you have to do. You could also do it only with branches, depending on what you want. You can decide that after you see the finished thing, what's suitable for what you want. Something along these lines might make interesting shadows. Again, I'm doing this really fast. My view on things is, if you want to do something wild, don't go over designing it. It sort of defeats the purpose. These shapes are something which you could not design, but they're much better. That nature actually comes up with for free in front of your nose. If you do an absolute piece of beauty which should look like a tree, we could wrap these things also in tape first to round them off perfectly. For decor, it's not necessary. Now we get to the actual playing part. Clean wrap. Really nothing special, the stuff that you have in your kitchen. Again, this is done in an absolutely careless way. I'm doing this with tacks. You can do it again with spray glue, with all kinds of stuff. So we want to do a beauty side and a dark side. So I do, let's say, the beauty side with some blue. I just do quick, easy, down on the roots. We can go bigger because there's no light shining through. With light shining through, we don't do it too big. We don't lay it on too heavy. Just a bit colory. And on the mean sides, I will use black spray paint. Okay, and now for stinky part. Now, next thing is we burn some holes in there. This is burning plastic with spray paint. It's gonna stink, it's not good for your health. Preferably do it outside. I also have a little bit of water spray. If you don't have a sprayer like this, even a little wet rag or have some water around, because what we're going to do is we're gonna burn some holes in the plastic, and sometimes things burn a little bit more than what we actually want to do. In this case, I'm wetting it down because this one burns too easy. When you buy these plastic foils, they're not always exactly the same plastic, so they might burn in different ways. Same time, plastic melts a little bit together. Again, don't be too planned. It's pretty difficult to plan randomness. Now this part I don't really like. It should be on there, so I'm going to give it a tack afterwards, or try to burn it down there. Sort of welded at the same time. Now I'm just wrapping the thing in clean wrap, just not too organized way so people don't realize right away it's clean wrap. The more layers you will put in, the more beauty you will have. So if you got time to put a dozen layers on, and you want to spend that time, you will have something very, very, very beautiful. The second layer we just try to use different colors. You can go for 2 or 3 color scheme and you always do one then the other. Gold for the blue thing, and I had black, so I will take the red. It's actually darker red, might be nicer. I take red for the black part. The more layers go on, the bigger you can put on the paint. You don't have to do it with spray paint. You can do it with a normal paint. Anything that sticks halfways to clean wrap. It takes longer drying time, so it's not so good to make YouTube videos. And not good for impatient people, which sometimes when I build, I am. Let's see. Here's our intermittent thing. I will now, for a quick video, for a quick deco, put one more layer on. If you want to make a great thing of beauty which you want to keep, you can put as many layers on as you want. Every layer you put on makes it more interesting. And if you want to keep it for a long time, it's something that you really want to keep and transfer. So you can paint it just with, take a brush and wood glue and paint it, let it drip off, let it dry, it becomes transparent, and it avoids that these things get ripped when people handle it. It's just standing there, it's fine like that. What I will do now, so we see what we're doing, I will put the lights in, my absolute favorite, €17 light strips. This is just to hang the light strip in, so it's not something high technical. I just take my light strip, in this case, you can do whichever way you please. I put a bunch of it in, and again I'm looking to make a random effect. I try to do random effects by doing random things. Just dump it in there is nice. I will add one more coat. Usually when I do it for something more permanent, I use like 5 or 6 coats of clean wrap. In this case we want to do an easy decoration, just something to have around, have fun to look at. Here's essentially our simple little tree table in Halloween horror version, or in Goldie Blue luxury version. As I said, we could make this much nicer if we add more layers to it, but it does a very, very nice effect. The red, in this case the red black side came out much nicer. What I really encourage you to do is to play. You want, of course, to do fire safety. You want to have your water spray ready, try out with spraying water on it first. You get the small holes, and after that, have fun with it. You can put a little fog machine next to it if you have one. There's a lot of things. You can use the same tricks. I use them for horror movies, for making rotten heads on plastic skeletons. That it takes more attention and care. You need to put a little bit more love in to do the attention. This one was to show a quick, easy trick. But still, if you put this somewhere in the dark, it will attract attention because people don't know what it is. If you want to hide the individual LED hotspots, you can also stuff it with transparent plastic, diffusing it more. And there's 100 other ideas that you can have, and you can just go for it and try them out, because you can't hurt much, it's clean wrap. Worst comes to worst, something gets destroyed, put a bit on it, burn a bit, spray it. Okay, that's pretty much it from Vianden Galactic Spaceyards for this time. If you like the stuff, of course, subscribe to Ken's channel and enjoy. Have a nice Halloween.